I'm sorry, guys, and I appreciate the comments from some friends on the channel who alerted me to errors in the previous video. This is a new video with the audio corrected. Thank you all very much. Let's listen to Carlo Ancelotti.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to all of you. A week ago, after what happened, after this terrible tragedy that occurred in Valencia, we all feel great sadness. This is the feeling we have regarding this disaster. We are very close to Valencia and to all the other towns that have been affected by this disaster, and we hope that in some way everything can be resolved soon. Knowing all of this, I hope and am sure that you all will understand that it is complicated to talk about football at this time. The same goes for playing football. It is also complicated right now because we are all part of this country. Everything that has happened affects all of us. So, out of respect for you and, of course, out of respect for all the people affected by the disaster and those who are suffering at this moment, I will try to keep this press conference as simple as possible because, personally, I do not feel like talking about football at this time. Tomorrow's match is a special match for me, and I would like to talk a lot about it, but out of respect for everyone, I will try to speak as little as possible. Thank you for your understanding.
You just expressed your sorrow for the tragedy that the Valencia community has suffered. How difficult is it to prepare for tomorrow's Champions League match?
Yes, of course it is difficult because we don't have our focus on our work, evidently, because this disaster affects everyone. We all hear, see, and read about what happened, which has been an incredible and terrible disaster to witness. We have prepared for the match because we had to do it. We are professionals, and that's all. We will try to play our best and also to win the match, and we will do our job. And that is what we have to do.
Do you think it makes sense to play the matches that took place last weekend, even though you did not play against Valencia?
I think that everyone in football has made their views clear in this regard. No one wanted to play over the weekend, and that was the right thing to do. But as we all know, we are not the ones in charge, and we must respect the decisions made by those higher up than us.
If you could respond in Italian, we would appreciate it. You have expressed before that you have feelings for Milan, and this is also a special match. Could you tell us what your feelings are for tomorrow's match, although we know that this does not lessen the gravity of the situation in Valencia?
Well, the feelings and emotions I am experiencing are the same as I expressed earlier. I prefer to talk as little as possible about football, but I know that football inevitably continues, and with the disaster in Valencia, football takes the back seat. As I said before, we are doing our job, and we are obliged to do so, but not with the same joy. We know we have an important and special match to play because it is against Milan, but all of this is in the background.
Has football missed a great opportunity to stop everything and help instead?
Well, if you're referring to helping, I think there are many ways to help. There are many ways to contribute. But I believe this is different. I think football should have stopped over the last weekend. And of course, the football world can and should help.
There is always talk of tight schedules and match dates. Football needs to pause from time to time. Do you think matches like tomorrow's are mandatory to play because you wouldn't know when to play them later? Have you done a more detailed analysis in this regard?
I think football is a celebration. So, for example, you can celebrate and have a party when you are well, when your family and all your loved ones are well. That is the time to have a celebration. But when people are not well, then you should not have any celebration. If you ask me if football should take a break, I would answer that for me, it should. Because football is the most important thing on the list of the least important things in life. As I said before, we do not decide. We are employees in this world. We are not the ones in charge.
Can you give us some comments about the trophy you received last week? What does that Ballon d'Or mean to you as a coach that you couldn't go collect?
I am happy for this award, but this is already passed. And all we can do is congratulate all the winners, and that's it. As I said before, my Ballon d'Or is the one I was given on June 1st when we won the Champions League title.
How do you think the tragedy in Valencia has been managed by the government?
I prefer not to comment on how the management of this tragedy has been handled by the government. I only know what has happened, and I am just trying to do the best I can to help those affected.
What do you think about the fact that the kings and government leaders visited the disaster area and left the people abandoned for several days? I don't know if these things are done better or worse in Italy, but you are now almost a Spanish citizen. What do you think about the fact that the people of Valencia have been left alone?
It is obviously very frustrating, everything that has happened. It is very normal to feel this way. All the disaster we have seen that has occurred this week has been incredible to witness. But I am not here to comment on or examine what the politicians of this country have done during these days. I do not have the resources to comment, so I can only feel sadness seeing people affected in this way. It is very hard to imagine that this could happen in these times. We are now in 2024 in an era of communication and information at our disposal. You can know the exact time when it starts to rain, but we are not able to prevent these tragedies.
What do you feel when you see all the images of the catastrophe that occurred in Valencia? Have you seen anything like that before?
No, I have not seen anything like that there. Obviously, I have seen images and have been informed about the disaster. This is a terrible catastrophe. I believe the citizens are helping a lot. And that is what each person has to do, help. All we can do is try to help these people who have been harmed.
How has the team been during this last week? After the defeat in El Clásico, the disappointment Vinicius felt with the Ballon d'Or, and now the tragedy of the Valencia community. Has this not been one of the most difficult weeks you have experienced?
It was a difficult week and continues to be a difficult week because we are experiencing something that is not normal. But this has nothing to do with what happened with the Ballon d'Or. That is in the past, and as I said before, we only want to congratulate the winners, but we're not sad about it. What is difficult is what is happening here in Spain.
How is Vinicius doing after not receiving the Ballon d'Or? I apologize, but I had to ask this question.
In this regard, Vinicius is calm, just like everyone else, because we all clearly realize what is happening elsewhere. And for this reason, we have not played a match. Unfortunately, we did not have to play that match. But unfortunately for everyone, we have had additional time to prepare for tomorrow's match. Vinicius is training well, and normally just like the rest of the players.
How is it possible that we have seen citizens of all races, ideologies and generations helping those affected by the disaster while we see politicians debating and blaming each other? How is it that citizens are so distanced from politicians? Or perhaps it is the opposite, and it is the politicians who are distanced from the citizens.
Well, talking about politics is very complicated. Discussing politics is not only complicated in Spain, but in any country. I wouldn't know how to say who was at fault among the politicians because, honestly, I don't know. But what I do know is the frustration. Honestly, I don't know. But what I do know is the frustration.
What leverage do you coaches and footballers have to pressure those in charge of football to prevent matches from being played due to the tragedy? What leverage do you coaches and footballers have to pressure those in charge of football to prevent matches from being played due to the tragedy?
You can't. The power we have is equal to zero, nothing. In these types of things, we cannot make any decisions. All the coaches thought the same way, that it was better to pause the tournament, but several had to play, and they did so without the desire to play. I repeat, the power of a coach in these circumstances is equal to zero.
We assume that this press conference is a great honor for you. The football industry is very wealthy, both economically and humanly. So why, when such tragedies occur, do they not have the courage to stop the tournaments? Why doesn't football stop?
Well, I am not the right person to answer this question. There is a saying that goes, the show must go on. But it is not like that. We are just employees, and sometimes decisions are made, and we have to follow orders.
After everything that happened last week and losing the Ballon d'Or, how is Vinicius doing psychologically for this match? Is it possible to regain Vinny's mental harmony for such an important match that the team needs to win?
I repeat what I already said. Vinicius is sad just like all of us, but it is not because of the Ballon d'Or. It is because he is seeing what is happening now in Valencia.